number one, I started shooting this new show. And the show is just basically based on what's going on in our lives. And my thing is, whatever we go through, we always want people to learn from it. But we also want to showcase strength and showcase the fact that, you always have to find the light in the dark. Everything I'm learning and how we're evolving, like raising my son and having a son and having a girl and being able to love her and enjoy the experience of having a child together. And it's crazy. I just want to showcase what real wealth looks like.
When you say wealth, what do you mean to people that may not know what all entails wealth?
Well, for me, wealth is happiness. Doing what you want, when you want, or who you want. Being able to love, being able to laugh, being able to protect the people you love, make sure, whatever struggle you had, they don't go through the same struggle. There's always going to be struggle, but they should never have to go through what I went through. They should be able to learn from what I went through and do something else, And, it's crazy because the reason why I was always going to do a show, I got a network, but the way my family's been portrayed on the other show and how it's divided my family, it just seems so intentional, like a program. And I just felt like it was trying to sort of undermine our legacy, make us normal in a way where, we're all normal, but making where we're not enjoying our life. And I see a lot of people letting that be their normal. And they're only showcasing the parts that happen to everybody. But they don't showcase the positive things, the aspirational things. It's just clickbait. And they don't care about the recourse. So still, my relationship with my son has been compromised completely behind this show. And they continue to shoot with him. And the people behind it really bothers me. You know what I mean? And all I can do is speak and express myself and showcase my perspective, but I'm going to definitely make sure those people are famous. You know what I mean? So, Tara Long and Mark Hedgewick, whatever the fuck his name is, E1, I'm calling them out by name, and I'm gonna showcase who they are and what they did. I'm gonna show them what a real show should be. So my therapy is basically doing the show. I have lawsuits on them. To me, they continue to be disrespectful. Boogie did some bubblegum shit. It's the only thing I can do to express myself. You know what I mean? This week I was put in a funny situation because, it's crazy because, where I'm from, my methods of survival and the laws that I live by are so extremely different than the rest of the world. And sometimes it's hard not to judge the rest of the world when they're not living by the rules that I came up by. So, Jamie, she just left. She had a show. And she brought this girl in that got canceled. And we started talking about doing business. She's in here, we're doing cameras. And, a couple days later, the girl called me crying like, yo, Jamie didn't want to tell you, she wanted me to tell you, but I got canceled for being racist and telling and all this type of shit. And I'm like, first my initial instincts kicked in like snitch, rat, racist. And then I'm like, wait, she's not where I'm from. You know what I mean? I'm still not excusing for it. But at least I'll hear it out.
And I know this that is a testament to you, taking your therapy seriously. And, it's really taking hold of the fact that you're able to recognize those things internally and, be able to even hear something like that.
Yeah. But then I was tight because Jamie didn't tell me. It was like, I'm like, why was she bringing this girl in here and have me exposed without telling me? And it's like, so then I had to also remember that Jamie don't know no better. And have that conversation about my boundaries. Like, I don't care what you think. you're responsible for who you bring in here. I don't have to talk to someone that I would never speak to in the first place. I don't want to hear nobody that told on somebody's voice telling me something that I got to like look at them as a human. Black and white, I don't know them. It's easier to leave them in my rear view. You know, she didn't tell the police. And I honestly, I don't think she's racist. I think she, the girl that called the police, she called tips on the girl. Another, like a white girl called tips on a black girl. She was on the Vanderpumps. And, you know, she's like, it's not the police and I'm not racist. But you still told it had nothing to do with you. What if you know what it feels like to be black and sit in jail for some shit you didn't do? And that shit costs money and it's fucked up. But they would not know that to play those games. I'm like, that's how oblivious you are. You know? And I was gonna let her come through and, you know, have her perspective on it. Like, I wasn't mad at her or nothing. But again, the way I dealt with it, I listened, and then usually I would just execute me out for that. You know, when I explained to her, I was like, yo, where I'm from, if you bring somebody, you're responsible for that. They ain't got to talk to me, I'm talking to you. You know what I mean? But I was like, you just must not know no better.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I let it slide because you're a civilian.
How does it feel now, looking back on how you dealt with it? Anything you would change, anything you wouldn't change?
No, I think it's all good. Like, you know, honestly, when I get mad, then I don't feel good. So it's just like, I knew how not to be triggered, you know? And then, you know, in managing people or getting, like it's crazy to me, because I fight hard for my dreams. I feel like I live by example, or lead by example. So I give people opportunity and they don't jump all over it, I find it somewhat disrespectful. But then I'd be like, damn, don't you want your dreams to come true? You know what I mean? So, you know, I find that the people that work with me, that I'm never angry about the way they do the work for me. I'd be more angry with them about how they don't fight for themselves. You know what I mean? And then I have to tell myself, like, why am I getting angry? I don't care really, it's their shit, but I do care.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
it's like, yo, but I can't care more about you than you care about yourself. But I would definitely make you aware of it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a place where you gotta have dreams. You gotta fight for your dreams, because I'm only fighting for my dreams and other people. So if you can't fight for your own, you ain't gonna be able to fight for mine.
I think that shows a lot of improvement as well, because, you know, during our early session, you know, man, it's a couple of years now, you know, a lot of the things that would come up would be how you care a lot about these things, you know, how people are handling their own dreams and how it would affect you in your other day-to-day activities. See, now you have more of a handle on those things because you're like, you're reacting at it at the time it happened, and you're controlling it at the time it happened within yourself. You know what I mean? So I think that's something to remember too as you move forward with your character, is that from where you came, where these types of things were bothering me, and I remember I would ask you, like, well, if you look back on it, what would you change? And you would say nothing. And I said, well, why is it bothering you then? You know what I mean? I think now you're able to look at it from a perspective of somebody who's had a commitment to themselves and improving themselves as far as therapy goes, and looking at it and just accepting things for what they are and accepting the things you can't change, but also being happy with, you know, your level of involvement. You know what I mean? I did everything I could. You know, I did what I could. Right? You know what I mean? So I think to be able to take the happiness and not let that energy affect your energy.
Well, what I need to figure out, like on Mondays at my staff meetings, is usually where I get really aggravated because I've given orders the week prior to and they may have not been done, as well as doing things for themselves.
Right.
And, you know, the only method I know, like, first I'll say something nicely, and then I might say it again and again, and then I get a little more different in my tone. But I know that there's a certain tone that I get to, that any single thing I want done will get done immediately and rapidly. And there's certain things sometimes I need done right now. So I just can't figure out a way to get and push people sometimes without having to be scary. But it's like a strategic scare. You're like, oh shit, they're not gonna do it, and I need it done right now. And then I have to get a certain way, and then it gets done. And I go, why do I have to get to this place to get something done? Like, if I'm not paying for it or if it didn't have to be done, then I'd probably let it go. But these things have to be done. Other people depend on all of us. You know, bills have to be paid. You got to be paid. You know what I'm saying? I just find it disrespectful not to listen. So it's like sometimes hard. My last resort of motivation is scary tactics. And
Has it always been like that throughout life?
well, you know, coming from a survival place, it's always been by example. Like, if you show any sign of weakness on the street, then you become a magnet for people to get at you. You can't hustle no more. Literally you have to make examples out of people as an example of what will happen to anyone else that tries anything.
Right.
But I don't approach it like that. It's just, I just know how to get shit done. But also, like, at a certain point, it's not personal, it's business. And if you can't execute what I need, you gotta go. So I find that, editing is something that I've had to become really ruthless about as it relates to business. But also as it relates to my personal well-being. If you're not good for me and make the way I feel, then you got to get away from it. Because when I am triggered, it's hard to control it. You know what I mean? Especially when someone like, it's crazy because I've been very clear sometimes. I tell people, yo, you're triggering. Stop. And you would think because I know I'm triggered, I would know how to stop. And when I'm triggered, I feel like it takes a minute. But if you keep triggering me, I get mad because I know you're doing it on purpose.
Is it something that can be solved during initial discussions when you meet these people initially?
It's not about the meeting, it's about like, if you're not doing what I ask you to do or what I'm paying you to do, or you're not actually doing what I need you to do to get to your own dreams, or what you need to do for yourself, then there's a different tone. It's like, if I'm on the block hustling, I'm doing something illegal, and I see the police, I might tell my homies, yo, 5-0. And if they don't listen, I'm gonna be like, 5-0. Yeah. Or, yo, there's a train coming, you might want to get off the tracks. But you're not listening, I'm like, yo, get the fuck off the tracks. So sometimes I'm like, maybe I should start from get the fuck off the tracks, so I don't have to feel disrespected. Because I feel like a lot of people, they're just unconscious. Like, why would somebody want to put themselves in a position knowing they got to do something and there's going to be accountability for it? Why would they not do it? You know what I'm saying? Why?
I mean, there's no way to go into somebody else's mind and figure out why. Again, this is similar to those other situations we're talking about. The only thing that you can really control is how you respond to things. So it's like, when you replay these situations, we got to look at it from all angles. Say, all right, well, is there anything else I can do to avoid coming here? You know what I mean? Whether it's, like I said, maybe an application process, you explain, like, look, I'm very critical about getting things done, the first time I feel it, or the first time I show you. You know what I mean? Maybe it's something being more communicative at that level. You get what I mean? Because you can't control them per se, but you can control your actions. So in doing it that way, nobody can say like you didn't never say anything or that you didn't make them aware that you were like that.
I feel like I do that. I really do.
Maybe you can.
I'm very clear about my boundaries and the future of what's going to happen if things don't get done a certain way. But at the end of the day, they don't fuck my day up.
That's all that matters.
I have a healthy baby. Where we came from to get to that place.
Yeah.
And really, there's nothing that's going to bother me unless it's like, death in jail or being sick. As long as my baby's healthy and happy and my girl, And it's just weird because it's the first time I've been able to raise my child. And I'm looking at the relationships I have with my other children. I'm like, damn, how things would be so different if I could have got that time.
Well, we talked a lot before the baby came, even initially before you went through the second round. We talked about what your expectations would be raising a child again, and what you expected to have from that experience. Any unexpected things that came from that experience of having a child and, being there every day,
I mean, I knew how much, I couldn't imagine how much, I know it's going to be fun, but I couldn't imagine how much fun it is to be with your child, wake up with your child, feed your child, like, seeing your child every single day instead of being a visiting dad and having to cherish little moments like, it's our normal. But our normal is like, what I do every day is like, if I got that once a month, it was a really big deal for me. And I remember how much pain I was in because that's the way, my other half used to get at me by not letting me see my children.
So you were actually able to see the difference, you know, from first perspective and what it was before and what it is now. Do you think that's brought up triggers from previous experiences that are that may be affecting you currently? You know, because you are so close to your child now. You know, does it bring up past things that maybe you haven't dealt with internally? You know, with those other situations. Because I hear you talk a lot about, you know, I can tell you're still concerned with those connections, even though they might be a little rocky at the moment.
I just wish my children could have gotten the full benefit of parents, of both parents. And I wish I could have broken that cycle of coming from a broken home for them. That's really it. You want drink?
Take two.
Nah, keep it rolling, man.
Keep rolling.
Right here.
We can use that too. Hey, all that. Walk off. You already know. Let me, you know what I'm saying? All right, let me get back to her.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things happening for the future for a lot of different people that are around me. And when I move, it's like I'm a spaceship. I'm gone. And there's room on my spaceship, but if you're going to be dead weight, you're getting off.
Yeah, you need escape speed to, you know, get in orbit, so you can't be weighted down, that's for sure.
And I want people to make the spaceship that I care about. And sometimes it's sad when they don't make the spaceship. Because I know how fast I'm going to go, but they can't understand it until they're on that spaceship, and they don't prepare for it. But, you know, it'll be all right. And, you know, I got to kick it with my man Benny, my brother.
I saw that. That's how you.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. Real street dude, and you know, used to be helping other people behind the camera, now he's in front of the camera.
Right.
And it's interesting to see him at that, you know, and that I'm like celebrating it. I'm happy. So you know, he came through. Everybody had his little, you know, publicists, photographers, and everything that comes with it. But still, because we brothers, he's like, oh dang, you know, 'cause I know this is a safe place for guys like that.
Yeah.
And they come here with me. You know, I want to take mushrooms. I never took mushrooms. As we took mushrooms, it was just a lot of fun. You know, I got to capture that moment. And, you know, I can't wait to see the footage. But it's crazy how happy I get when I see my real friends finally get what they deserve.
Yeah, that means they're happy about seeing other people happy.
Always.
You know, that's nothing I would ever change.
Yeah. And it's funny how a lot of people around just can't understand that kind of brotherhood. You know, understand the rules. And that's also another thing that I'm always dealing with is, you know, culturally people are different. They do different things to survive. And as you see, I always have an assortment and a mix of people around me. But a lot of them sometimes, because again, they're not from that struggle, that jungle, they don't know the rules of living. It's just a lot of like, you just don't get it.
Well,
But not being mad at it, just be like, you just don't get it.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Emmy because as much as we show the negative aspects of where we come from, it's good to see positive, you know, that everybody can see on camera, you know, but along with you and doing the things that you're doing, you know, doing your therapy in front of all these people. You know what I mean? So it's shouts out to Emmy and everybody like him, like us, you know, that come up and make something positive of themselves, you know. That's what
And stay true to a code.
Yeah.
You know, an agreement that you sign on to amongst other people. It don't have to even be written. It's just a certain code. You know? Some people sometimes have to grow up around it to be it. Some people just get it. But it's like being in a place where there's so many different kinds of people with different perspectives from so many different places. It's hard not to be triggered. You know? Because everybody lives by different rules. Every block got a different rule. It seems like. And I think mine is like, it's that cloth that, it's a very snotty cloth. You know, like, it comes with some real, don't look away, can't turn your back, gotta be good all day, never cheat.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. It's just hard to deal with people that don't do that or play by those rules, that honor code.
And just like we deal with ourselves and we see how hard it is to deal with our own triggers, you know, the same way we deal with all those things, we can deal with those things, you know, because that's what, you know, the powers that be, they want us to get confused, you know, and deal with those things in a way that, you know, where the repercussions are bad and reckless for us. You know, so, you know, I honor, you know, the things that you're doing as far as, you know, to teach people how to handle themselves in those situations, because, you know, this world is always going to present things that trigger us. You know, it's not about erasing those triggers, because really to keep it 100 with you, what you really want to erase those triggers. Sometimes those triggers come in handy, right?
Yeah.
So it's about controlling those triggers, and that's what.
Or isolating people that pull them for no reason.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
to me it's about identifying triggers and knowing when to isolate them.
Yeah.
And also being able to tell people what your triggers are, because then you can establish boundaries.
That's a big part.
You know, and then also making sure that if that person doesn't know how to respect your boundaries, then you know that you can't be around them.
Yeah. It's like having that alarm system around your boundaries.
Yeah.
So once you hear the first that means back up. You know what I mean? So, you know, boundaries is very important in mental health.
And it's crazy because, like, a lot of my experience with, like, women, you know, you establish, when girls establish boundaries, you respect them shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, especially now, you can't even play. There's no gray area.
I mean, it's just the right thing to do anyway. You know what I'm saying?
No matter what, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, you don't even want to do anything great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
end up in that box.
even if it's not your intention, you don't even want to do something that can be looked at a certain way.
Yeah.
But when you tell certain people your boundaries, like, you know, I tell women like, yo, I don't hang out with dudes, bro. Don't bring no dudes around. But like a girl might think because you like her, because she's pretty, she can bring whoever she wants around. You be like, yo, you can't bring no dudes around. I don't know this dude, you know what I mean? Like, and then it turns into an issue, but we already talked about this.
Yeah.
So why is it an issue? You know, shit like that. So I just find that, and again, it ain't no disrespect, it's just sometimes when men have boundaries, they get sort of downplayed a little bit. And I wish that people would pay attention to them when they say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
We're about to have our boundaries as well.
Well, like if you tell a girl, yo, you trigger me, and then she's like triggering you, and then something might happen, and then all of a sudden you're in a bad position, like, yo, why did you stay when I told you you got triggered? Right? You understand what I'm saying? So, shit like that. Triggers are serious.
They call it, you know,
And it's caused a lot of collateral damage.
yeah.
I think it's important to always understand your triggers so you don't get yourself in no trouble.
Yeah.
But for people to respect your triggers so they don't get you in no trouble.
Absolutely.
Or get themselves in trouble. You know what I mean? I think people have to understand, like, respect, triggers are real, boundaries are real.
Yeah.
And that's when I get really upset is if I establish my boundaries and people cross it. Or try to be like, I know these are your boundaries, but why? You trigger.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, that thing. You know what I'm saying? It's the same shit. Like, so, you know. So yeah, overall, life is great. I'm having a ball. Things are evolving exactly the way I architected it. You know, there's a little bit detours, minor setbacks here and there, but that's all part of the game.
Yeah.
But the challenges that are presenting themselves, the opportunities, it's not like I'm there yet, but I see the path. I just got to connect a couple of dots. And if I don't do it myself, I'm not aggressive about capitalizing off these opportunities, and they're going to go by. But they're there, you know? So I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to swing on every opportunity that presents itself with fervor. You know, if it don't land, it don't land, but you ain't going to never say I didn't try. And that's what I take pride in, you know, swinging. Regardless of whether I know it's going to land or not. I'm always going to be
Or
swinging.
if you don't swing, you know it's going to happen.
You already know that.
Right. So if you could,
And you have to think about what if I would have swung. What would have happened?
and I mean, in closing, I mean, if you could think of one word to describe where you're at right now, with Gang Dash, that what would it be?
Ecstatic. You know? And I'm going to say the reason why is because every day I'm looking at my life. Every day a life that coming from where I come from, I still can't believe it. I can't believe where I wake up, how I wake up, all the things I have the ability to do, everything I worked hard for, and then to have a baby and a woman I love, and to not be arguing and shit. I hate arguing and fighting, but especially with people you love. You can't even really do that. There's no win fighting somebody you love or saying something that's gonna hurt somebody you love. You got, there's no win there. So I'm actually with a woman I love 100%. We hang out. She accepts me for who I am. I accept her for who she is. We're able to be creative. We're able to monetize. We're able to make dreams come true. But we got a baby. And you know who we was at last year.
Oh, yeah.
And the worry that came with trying that shit again.
I know
so everything.
Where you climbed up from.
Yeah. So I know that you go to the dark, you get to the light.
Yeah.
But the challenge is, you're gonna stay there, you're gonna stay there. You're gonna be stuck in the closet, stuck in the dark room. You gotta fight to break down that door. And don't let medicine be your escape.
Right.
Not that pill once a day. You have to let your dreams be your escape. I find that if I'm upset about something, the thing that pulls me out of a bad, dark place is the dream. The fight I gotta go through to get to the dream and what the dream looks like. I always gotta be able to visualize the dream. And see what the dream, and I dreamed this before. I dreamed waking up in that house. I dreamed having this office or this creative space, having a network, having a certain kind of people around me, the kind of content I want to make, what I want my day-to-day life to look like. I dreamed it and it's actually happening. I architected it. So I know I have proof of concept in that way. If I can think about it, if I can visualize it, if I can have other people think about it and visualize it, and it all come from a good place, it will happen, no matter what it is. And that's also the reason why I have to dream big. It makes no sense to dream small. It's the same energy to dream small as it is to dream big. So why not dream big? It don't cost $1. You know what I mean? Period.
That's game. And I think it's clap it up. One thing I'm gonna say is that you say you can't believe where you are. Well, I say, brother, believe it. If it's real, you believe it. Y'all believe it.
PTSD.
You know what I'm saying? Believe it, because it can be real for you. You know what I mean? It can be real for any one of us. You just gotta, go out there and get it. Jump off the porch. You know what I mean? So.
But it's hard when you're going through a lot of shit, when things are going good, not to slightly worry about like it's too good right now. And then but I always tell myself, I'm supposed to think like that. I've been through some bullshit. You know what I mean? So then I let it go.
And life gonna do what it do.
It's gonna do what it do regardless.
Stay ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so I appreciate you all time. Look forward to Healing is Gangster, your show.
Dame Dash Network, you already know. Dame Dash Studio.